what is your process as a leader, as you've grown in responsibility and rank? What is your mindset when it comes to making important consequential decisions, taking the lead on certain things? What does that look like for you, and what is your thought process for it?
Yeah, I think it's one of the the biggest things, one of the most developmental opportunities that the Army provides over other career options, and that's um, the responsibility to make decisions and be accountable for your decisions at such an early age.
Hmm.
Um, Now, at each rank and each level of responsibility, um, you always have a certain amount of overhead cover to be able to seek advice, and you're never alone. Even now, I'm never alone. You always have a commander, you always have help, and you have peers to be able to see you through it all. But at an early age, you are presented with making decisions that you are responsible and accountable for very early in your career. So some of the things that go through my mind when I'm making consequential decisions, uh, the very first thing I think about is the impact to soldiers and to the unit. What is it that I am deciding that's going to have an impact on a soldier, whether it's an individual soldier or it's the unit and the unit's climate and what it is that we have to perform? Because every decision you make really is setting precedents on future decisions. And so I think about it in terms of what it means for us. I also think about it, what does it mean in terms of the Army? How does this decision reflect on the Army as an institution? And what is in the best interest of the big us as an Army and as a service and what that means? Then I think in terms of our future, not just what's the impact of the decision right now, but how is this either helping us or hurting us in the future on what it is that we have to do. There's a lot that's involved in that, the consumption of resources or the commitment of resources, things you'll do or things you won't do based on that decision, the risk, the risk of the decision to the forces, our soldiers, and the risk it presents to the mission that we have as well. And so those are all the different things that come into making that decision. Um, Not every decision is that consequential or that complex, but those generally are the things that are coming into play when I'm working through that. And then I'd say lastly, if it's a decision that's new to me or I have very little experience in, I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to get advice from peers. I'm going to get advice from my commander to be able to see just where they've been. And I'd say no one's ever had to tell me the answer, because in some cases, it kind of puts you down a road of undue command influence, and the commander would never want to do that to a subordinate commander. But they've always shared insights and their experiences about how they approached a particular problem. And so those are all the aspects that go into to doing that. And I'd say the military service is one of those professions where you have an opportunity at a very young age to be presented with those kind of challenges and that responsibility to decide.
Hmm. For younger officers, perhaps lieutenants, captains, who are in the midst early portion of their officer career, what are some critical lessons you think they should be taking away as they continue to pursue, for those that want to pursue a longer term military service? What are some critical decisions, and how should they really think about those in the years ahead?
I think early on, it's not necessary to think in terms of what you're going to be doing a decade from now or 2 decades from now. I think if you really have an interest in the profession, in the service itself, approach it on a short-term basis. Uh, Take advantage of your current obligation to just serve and get good at your job. Use that time to be able to grow individually whether it's in a particular location you're living in or the particular type of unit you're serving in. But don't worry about doing something. Don't worry that when you're doing something now that it's going to be what you're going to be doing 20 years from now. Don't take too long of a horizon, because it'll paralyze you in terms of whether you want to commit to it or not. Just take it for what it is. You have a current obligation, learn from it, grow from it, and look for opportunities to continue growing. I would also say, in that period of time, challenge yourself intellectually and physically, so that you can see just what you're made of. Volunteer for schools, volunteer for challenges, and put yourself out there, because you'll never fail in the Army. There'll always be opportunities to bounce back. You may not pass the school your first go, but there's always an opportunity to be able to come back. But if you never try, you'll never know what you're capable of. And then I think the last thing is just gain experiences. Go to a variety of different units. Learn from those units. Learn how to solve problems in those units. And then go somewhere else into a completely new environment and test yourself again.